not attain God. To attain God, the Atmagyani must practice devotion to God. This leads us with the path of bhakti, the path of devotion. What do the scriptures say about this path? Let's find out. What can we understand about this path? This path is for everyone, no exceptions. पुरुष नपुंसक नारी वा जीव चराचर कोय. It's for the male, it's for the female, it's for the eunuch. Napunsak, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. It's for the educated as well as the uneducated. It's for someone who's very attached to the world of material desires, as well as for someone who is extremely detached from it. And it is attached, it is eligible. And everyone who is not too attached nor too detached from the world is also eligible for this path, which means everyone automatically is eligible. And this path is complete by itself. It doesn't need help from any other path. The path of karma and dharma needs bhakti. It needs devotion. The path of gyan needs devotion. It needs help from devotion. But the path of devotion is independent. It is enough by itself. It is complete. It doesn't need help from any other path, which means that if you're following this path, you don't need to follow any other path side by side. The path of devotion, the path of bhakti. What is bhakti? In Garud Puran, which is one of the 18 Purans, Bhagwan Vedavyas, the divine author, has said, Bhaj ityesha vaidhatu sevayam parikirtitah tasmat seva buddhaih prokta bhakti sadhana bhuyasi. Bhagwan Vedavyas says the word bhakti comes from the root word bhaj. And bhaj means to serve. To serve. So bhakti has its roots in serving. Just as every part of our body is always serving the Atma, the soul, the eyes are always trying to please the soul. They're looking here and there in the world, and they're asking the soul, are you happy with what we are giving to you, with what we are seeing? And the Atma is not satisfied. But the eyes don't stop serving the soul. They keep on looking at people, places, different creatures, different sceneries. The ears are always trying to serve the soul by listening to so many sounds. And they want to please the soul. They ask, are you pleased? And the soul is quiet, means it's not satisfied. Every part of the body, every sense organ is always trying to serve the soul. Now, in the same way, the soul has a soul. That is the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna. So the soul is always trying to serve the Supreme Soul. That is our inherent nature. So bhakti, devotion, is our inherent nature. We are natural servants of God. Jivera Shwarupa Hoye Krishnera Nityadas. Gauranga Mahaprabhu has said, it is the individual soul's inherent nature. We are natural servants and eternal servants of God. That is who we are. If we were to give our introduction, someone says, who are you? You can safely say and truthfully say, I am a servant of God. I am the Atma, I am the spirit soul, and I am an eternal servant of God. That is who I am. A devotee is always begging for God's grace. The jnani is meditating on the nameless and formless aspect of God known as Brahma. And when God is named, thought of as being nameless and formless, how is he going to grace you? And you're not, as a jnani, you're not asking for his grace. But the devotee, on the other hand, is constantly begging for God's grace. And he is given that grace. He cries out to God, and God responds to tears. He's always protected. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Name bhakta pranashyati. It is my challenge. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, O Arjun, it is I take a vow to protect my devotee. It is my challenge that my devotee will never fall, for I'm always protecting him. And I had said in an earlier talk, I'll repeat myself, the devotee is like a kitten that is held in the mouth of its mother. The mother cat holds her young one in her mouth, so the child is always given protection. That is the devotee. And the jnani, on the other hand, is like a baby monkey latching on to its mother. So there's a great possibility that the baby monkey will fall to its death high up in the tree. When the mother jumps from one tree to the other or from one branch of the tree to another, the devotee is always dependent on God's grace. So, devotion is all about love. It's all about realizing who you are. I am an eternal servant of God. I am an eternal child of God. And devotion is all about recognizing that relationship with God. In the path of devotion, you ask yourself, who am I and who is mine? And why am I here on earth? And the answer is, I am the spirit soul, and God alone is mine. Shri Krishna alone is mine. And my goal in life is to reach him. So he serves God with everything he has. He tries to love God. The aspiring devotee tries to love God. He struggles with his mind. Especially in Kali Yuga, we struggle with our minds, don't we? So in the path of devotion, there is a definitely struggle. It's not that the path of knowledge is so difficult and the path of devotion there's no struggle. There is struggle. The struggle is with our mind. The mind puts up a great challenge because the mind has been accustomed to looking at the material world as a source of happiness. And now we are introducing to the mind a different idea, and that is there is happiness in God, not in the world. And the mind keeps on going back to the world. But luckily for the devotee, God is infinitely compassionate. And the devotee keeps on asking for help from God. So Sri Krishna keeps on giving that help. There was a devotee who did not believe, and I believe I've shared this story with you, but bear with me, and it's a wonderful story. There was a devotee who was reading the Bhagavad Gita, and when he read that Lord Krishna helps the devotee himself, he gives to the devotee what the devotee is lacking, and he protects what the devotee has in his possession already. This is called Yoga Kshem Vahan Karna, to give him what he needs and what he does not have, and to protect what he has already in his possession. And the scholar who was reading the Bhagavad Gita, he crossed out a word and he thought, no, no, Lord Krishna is too great to help each and every devotee. So he went off early in the morning to bathe in the Ganges. And as his wife was at home, she is wondering what they're going to eat. There was nothing to eat, they were very poor. All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and she opens the door to find a little boy, maybe 9, 10 years of age. He's carrying a huge burlap sack, seemed to be a very heavy sack on his head. And she helps him to put that down. And she said, what have you brought? And he said, your husband has sent this. And, and she said, oh, okay, he has arranged for food stuff. Then she saw that there were a lot of bruises on the little boy's face. And she asked, who did this to you? And the little boy said, your husband did this to me, and I am his student. Saying this, the boy left. And when the husband came back, the wife yelled at him, and she asked, why did you beat up on that boy? The husband had no idea, and he said, no, I don't know of any boy. I don't beat little children up. I teach them lovingly, but I didn't send anyone. And she said, you sent all this food stuff. She had opened that burlap sack, and there were all sorts of vegetables and grains and pulses, lentils. And she said, you sent all this food stuff with him. And the man said, I didn't send anything. And finally, and when his wife repeated the story to him twice, 3 times, 4 times, then the scholar understood that the boy was none other than Lord Krishna, who had come to give these devotees what they did not have. They didn't have any food left. So he had personally brought food to them. And the scholar cried and begged Sri Krishna for forgiveness. It is true that Sri Krishna helps each and every devotee, giving him what he needs and protecting what he has already in his possession. This is why the devotee must never become nervous. God is always looking out for him. Granted that he keeps on remembering, that he remembers God. Granted that he does not lose that connection with God. Granted that his faith remains strong. So there are lots of examples, by the way, of jnanis who, when they saw the personal form of God, they immediately renounced their Brahma Gyan and they became devotees of God with name and form. One example of such a personality is King Janak. King Janak was an impersonalist. He was a jnani. And one day when he saw Ram and Lakshman, he could not he could not stop looking at them. His gaze was fixed on both of them, and he thought, who are these two boys? Why am I so attracted to them? Is it possible that my Brahm, that God without name and form, that I've always meditated upon, that Brahma has come in the form of these two boys? Yes, this is the only plausible explanation because my mind can never be attracted by anyone worldly. So King Janak, the moment he saw Ram and Lakshman, that is the moment he renounced his Brahmanand. He renounced the bliss of God without name and form because this bliss is so much greater that he immediately became a devotee. Immediately. Shukdev Paramhans is also one such another example of a jnani who became a devotee. As soon as he heard about Sri Krishna, he was attracted, and he came out of his impersonalist samadhi, and he wanted to know about Sri Krishna. And when he found out that Sri Krishna is so beautiful, so glorious, he came out of his samadhi, but then he closed his eyes and went back into his samadhi, thinking that Sri Krishna would not accept him because he was so ordinary. Sri Krishna is the Lord of countless universes. But then the next day he heard about the compassionate nature of Sri Krishna and he immediately became a devotee. He was at the highest level of the path of Gyan and he went to Bhagwan Vedavyas, who happened to be his father, who had composed the Bhagavatam, the greatest scripture of all, because it tells us the stories, divine stories of Sri Krishna. And he went from the highest level on his path to the lowest level, the beginning of the path of devotion. He became a novice in the path of devotion, and he never looked back at God without name and form. So when you practice devotion, you are meditating on, you're doing Rup Dhyan of God with name and form. And that is so interesting that you never want to have the lower bliss of God with name and form. I had spoken about Brahmanand and Premanand yesterday, last time. And Brahmanand means the bliss of God who has no name, no form. Premanand means the bliss of God with name and form. So the ones who were so desirous of Brahmanand, they immediately became Premanandis because there is so much difference, there is so much more sweetness in God with name and form. So on the path of devotion, we are worshiping God with name and form. And there are countless names and forms of God. Ananta Namarupaya Vishnave. So say the scriptures. But we concentrate on one form, the form of Sri Krishna, simply because in the form of Sri Krishna, he reveals his entire sweetness. He does not hold anything back. We can love him in every possible way, and the bliss is the ultimate bliss. So when we meditate, when we do Rup Dhyan, when we visualize Sri Krishna, we are able to, because of what we have heard, the stories about Sri Krishna, the pastimes of Sri Krishna, who is the darling of Vrindavan, who is the darling of everyone's heart, the mischievous Krishna, the prankster Krishna, the glorious Krishna, then there is so much to think about. The mind finds it so much easier to visualize Sri Krishna. We've heard many, many descriptions of Lord Krishna. I will tell you once in Mangar, in Sri Kripaludham Mangar, this was easily 35, 40 years ago. Sri Maharaji was sitting in the Angan, in the courtyard, and we are all sitting at his lotus feet. And all of a sudden, Sri Maharaji started giving us a detailed description of Sri Krishna's beauty. It was so detailed that we all were mesmerized and we just looked at Sri Maharaji almost without blinking, not believing what we were hearing. It was such privileged information. Sri Maharaji is giving such an elaborate description of what Sri Krishna looks like. And we were so mesmerized. Everything was so descriptive. The light on Sri Krishna's cheeks, the light of the light that emanates from his crown, that light mixing with the light that shines from his kundals, the ear pendants that he has. It was such an intricate description that we were just left with our almost with our mouths wide open, so surprised and so grateful. So we have heard from Rasik saints, we have heard what Sri Krishna looks like. We have some hints. So it's much easier for us to visualize Sri Krishna. We have seen many different deities, very many murtis. You can see Radha and Krishna's murtis right behind me, and they are especially lovely. So we've seen lovely murtis, deities of Sri Radha and Krishna, and photos. And based on these, we can form an image of Sri Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And we can just visualize the various pastimes that Krishna performs with Radharani, that Radharani performs with Sri Krishna and the gopis and the milk maidens of Braj, the gopis, and with the Gwalbal, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan. We can think of so many pastimes of Sri Krishna with his mother, Yashoda. We can think about Nanda Baba and Sri Krishna. There are so many scenarios that we can visualize. And the wonderful thing is that the causelessly merciful Sri Krishna allows us to think of even the pastimes that we don't read about. Now, we don't read about Lord Krishna playing cricket, do we? But as Sri Maharaj Ji has emphasized, cricket is very, very, very loved by Indians. So Sri Maharaj Ji, of course, talked about it. He used to watch cricket also. And so, although the scriptures, no scripture has ever said, Sri Krishna was playing one day playing cricket with his friends, yet we can visualize a cricket game with Sri Krishna and the Gwalbal and the Gopis and Radharani, everybody, and you are part of that game. There are so many scenarios that we can think about. Shri Krishna is swimming in the Yamuna. We have the privilege of having so many beautiful devotional songs from Sri Maharaj Ji in Premras Madhira and Brajras Madhuri, Radha Govind Geet, Shama Sham Geet, and more. And we have so much material. It's so easy to visualize Sri Radha and Krishna. The path of devotion it allows us so much freedom. Like Bhagwan says, you can visualize me any which way you want, and I will accept. I will accept your Rup Dhyan. I will not say, oh, I don't look like this. I know you don't know what I look like. Until you come to my Golok, you won't know what I look like. Until then, go char jahan lagi man jai, so sab maya jane bhai. All we can think with our material mind is about the material world. We can conjure up an image of Sri Krishna, but it'll be from a material mind. And Sri Krishna says, that's all you can do. That's okay. But I will accept your Rup Dhyan. This grace is not given to the Jnani simply because he doesn't ask for it, but it's given to the devotee because he's constantly asking for it. Sri Krishna gives him that grace. So as we do Rup Dhyan of Sri Krishna, through our Gurudev, through Guru, keeps on filling the heart with Swarup Shakti, divine energy of God, personal power of God, little by little. So little by little, our mind becomes more and more, it becomes more and more divine. It goes towards divinity. It's becoming less and less material, let me put it this way. It gets more and more filled up with Swarup Shakti. Then we find that we are transforming from within. You find that you are not as worldly as you used to be. You do not take offense when people speak to you harshly. You used to, but you don't anymore. There is a transformation. You're not so quick to anger. You are not as desirous of the world as you used to be. You're not so greedy as you used to be. You are more giving, you're more compassionate. You're becoming a better version of yourself. Because when we think about Sri Krishna, his qualities start to fill our heart also. We are affected by the company we keep. When the mind keeps the company of Sri Krishna, then Sri Krishna's divine qualities also they start filling our mind. They start appearing in our mind. So that change is perceptible. It is definitely, you can see, you can feel it. You can feel yourself changing. And in the path of devotion, tears are very important. And so when the devotee cries, Sri Krishna responds, Radharani responds. Many saints have told us about the importance of tears, shedding tears. Bin roe kin pahiya prem pyaro meet. And this is Kabir Das Ji, who has said no one can attain the divine beloved without shedding tears for him. Asuan jal sinch sinch prem bela boi. The great devotee Meera she says, I have nurtured the vine of divine love for Krishna with the tears falling from my eyes. So Mirabai talks about the importance of tears. Gauranga Mahaprabhu shed tears and he spoke about tears. Nayanam galadashrudhareya vadanam gadgadarudhaya gira pulakair nichitam vapukkada tava nama grahane bhavishyati. Ashtapadi. So it is essential to shed tears of love and longing for God, accepting Him to be our one and only, accepting that He is the soul of the soul, He is the supreme soul, and the soul is nothing without Sri Krishna. He's the one who gives consciousness to the soul, and then the soul makes the entire body conscious. This is why when someone dies, when his soul leaves the body has no consciousness. You can you can cremate the body. And we Hindus, we cremate. The body is not feeling the heat or the pain. There's no suffering there. The body doesn't experience anything. You can stick a pin in any part of the body. There's no pain because consciousness has left. So who is the one who gives consciousness to the soul? That is the supreme soul. And he alone is mother, father, Lord and master, eternal friend, a child, beloved. He's everything. So in the path of devotion, we are trying to connect with God, and the easiest way to connect to Him is to think of Him, is by thinking of Him as having name and form. And this is the reason why God appears on earth with name and form. He doesn't just remain nameless and formless. He descends to earth. He takes avatar for our sake so that we may love Him, so that we may interact with Him and fall in love with Him. And He leaves behind so many stories, so many pastimes, so that thousands of years later, we can still fall in love with Him. Millions of years later, we can fall in love with Him. That is His compassionate nature. I will conclude right here and I will resume this topic next time we meet. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। And now, dear devotees, dear satsangis, you may ask questions. I will do my best to answer them. And when you do, please unmute yourself and you can raise your hand.
Radhe Radhe Didi.
Radhe Radhe.
It was really mesmerizing for me. Like today's the view of the screen when I see Radha Krishna behind you, you are a guru.
They are the
So
stars.
it's really mesmerizing for me. And yeah, the path of devotion that you have mentioned, yeah, it's so aspiring for every individual. I feel there is something that we have to process it through the guru, or can we start doing it on our own? Of course, loving God is always there, but is it how far we can say the importance of guru in this path?
Purna, without the guru, we don't even learn. One cannot even learn how to practice devotion. So now you're listening to me and I'm telling you about devotion. It is all due to Guru's grace. So you are learning from what a guru has said, Jagat Guru Uttam has said. So
Yeah.
there are many people in the world who are practicing devotion without the guidance of a guru. And what happens, however, is that there is a spot where you become stuck and then you cannot unstick yourself. You become stuck and then you think, where do I go now? Many people are doing something or the other to practice devotion, For instance, many people recite scriptures like Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam. They recite from scriptures like Gita and Ramayan, or they may recite the Hanuman Chalisa, for instance. But then there comes a point when they say, well, I'm not getting anywhere, because
Yeah.
by yourself, you don't know how to really practice devotion. By yourself, we don't even find out that it's the mind that practices devotion. It's so much easier for us to involve our hands. It's so interesting. Okay, now bring a glass of water. Now you offer it like this. Now you
Mhm.
do this. Now you light this. Now you do this. Now you go like this. That's all very easy to do, and it's very interesting. But then nobody tells you you're supposed to put your mind on God. And you're doing all this so that the mind may be there. But along comes a guru and he teaches you that. So guru is essential. You can of course practice devotion to God, but there comes a point when you get stuck and you don't know where to go after that.
Yeah. Okay. Radhe Radhe Devi.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Didi.
Radhe Radhe.
Like Purna said, looking at the statues of Krishna and Radharani in the background has just been so beautiful. And of course, seeing you talk about it all. The one thing that I have had a question about is it's not totally related to what you've just said, but it's about Maharaji saying, Shwas Shwas Se Radhe. Now, sometimes it just becomes like you're just doing it for the sake of doing it without attaching your mind to Hari or Guru. But then when Maharaji says, with the in-breath, so you have to consciously concentrate on your in-breath and out-breath?
Concentrate on
On the in-breath, like
Mhm.
Ra, and then on the out-breath, you have to say
Hey.
Te. Is
Yes.
that what you do consciously, that you're doing and that way, or you can be just sort of, thinking about them and doing Radhe Radhe whilst not even concentrating on the breath?
The ideal, the best, the most useful is beneficial, I should say, practice is to do the Radhinam breathing. When you can't chant loudly, there are times when you cannot, and you do the Radhinam breathing. And as you do that, you also visualize Radharani at the same time. Radharani, Sri Maharaji, Lord Krishna, any one of the three, or all three, or any two, it doesn't matter, or just one. So
Okay.
because that's just enhances everything. You're actually practicing devotion properly then. Ra, He, and you're visualizing Hari
Okay.
at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you, Didiji. Radhe
Also,
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
If when we try to remember God and Guru throughout the day, isn't it actually karma yoga?
Yes, absolutely. Because you're doing your duty, you're doing your work, your daily chores, or you're working at your place of employment, and you're doing whatever you're doing, but you're also thinking. So karma is your duty, your actions you're performing, and yoga is the union, internal union with God and Guru. Yes, absolutely. That is what karma yoga is.
So it's complementary to Rup Dhyan.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's another way of doing. Rup Dhyan is done in two ways. One is by leaving aside all your chores and your tasks, and you actively do Rup Dhyan. The other is to do Rup Dhyan while doing your work. So you visualize your Lord, Shri Krishna is looking at you as you are doing your work. And you're showing him your work and you're saying, I am doing this for your pleasure. This is all for your happiness. I'm doing this to please you. So the Rup Dhyan is done in these two ways. Through Karm Sannyas, sadhana, the practice of leaving aside everything for an hour or two and just focusing on God and Guru, taking the help of bhajans and kirtans, and then Karma Yoga while doing the work, getting the mind accustomed to thinking, knowing, accepting that Sri Krishna is everywhere all the time and he's watching you. So you're doing Rup Dhyan also at that time.
Thank you. Radha
Most
Radha.
welcome. Radhe Radhe.
Raju Didi, Vikas here. So
Radhe.
during the Roop Dhan, if any worldly things comes, what should we do?
Yes, and they invariably will, because the mind is a big fan of the world, and it will put up resistance. So as we are trying to do Rup Dhyan, the mind will go out into the world. It will say to the body, "You sit here and you do devotion, and I will make rounds of the world while I go around visiting favorite places and people." And it will do that. But at that time, Shri Maharaji has given us such a wonderful solution. It's incredible. It's so simple and so effective, and which is to just place God and Guru, either Lord Krishna or your Guru, wherever the mind goes, just visualize God, Shri Krishna, to be there. So then the mind thinks, oh, I was thinking about him and then I left him, but I've come away from him, but he's over here too. And then the mind runs away to some other place and you take Shri Krishna there too. And the mind says, oh, I was trying to get away from him, but he keeps following me. It's like I'm reminded of the nursery rhyme. Mary had a little lamb. So wherever Mary went, the little lamb followed. So wherever the mind goes, Shri Krishna follows him, follows the mind. And eventually the mind will become tired. It will start thinking, oh, I'm trying to get away from him, but he keeps on following me. So I may as well rest at his lotus feet. I may as well not go away from him. So that is a very, very, after all these years, I cannot get over the simplicity of this method that Sri Maharaji has given to us, shared with all of us, and the efficacy, how effective it is in controlling the mind. That you just let the mind go wherever it's going, but just put Lord Krishna there. Eventually, the mind will say, no more running. Like a monkey held by a rope. Says, now the rope is so short. Now, no more running. I'm going to stay over here. Stick to one place. Just stand here, sit here. So the mind will sit at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. We have always heard that when your mind goes away from God, you bring it back. You bring the mind back. But by making a small change, don't bring the mind back. Take Lord Krishna to where the mind is. Sri Maharaji has revolutionized the entire spiritual community, spiritual knowledge. That, oh, you just do the opposite and it's so much easier. Sometimes it's the simplest method and it's the most effective. And that's what Sri Maharaji keeps giving us, one after the other. And we say, oh, it's so simple. Why didn't I understand it? We cannot understand it with this material mind. We are not able to understand. But Sri Maharaji introduces all this to us, and we think this was so easy, but we couldn't have understood it on our own.
Thank you, Didi. Radha Radha.
Most welcome. Radhe Radhe. Shall I do a kirtan if there are no more questions? And if there are any more questions, please raise your hand.
Radhe Radhe Didi.
Radhe Radhe.
It's not a question. I just want to do a small kirtan because seeing Krishna behind you, I couldn't stop myself.
Of course.
Can I do a small kirtan?
Yes, you may, sure.
Yeah. Nanda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Yashoda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Nanda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Yashoda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Ras Bihari Jaya Gopal, Ras Bihari Jaya Gopal, Radha He Madhava Jaya Gopal, Radha He Madhava Jaya Gopal, Nanda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Yashoda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Nanda ke laal Jaya Gopal, Yashoda ke laal Jaya Gopal. Radhe Radhe Didi.
Thank you, Purna. It's nice. गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद। श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय।
Radha Didi, one more question, Didi.
Yes.
Like in a daytime, whole every day, like how much time one devotee should spend in Roop Dhyan, how much in Kirtan, how much either in his, like for any new devotee starting, how much time they can regularly follow?
Yes. So that karma sannyas sadhana, when you just sit in your puja room or wherever you are with your little shrine in front of you, you should sit for no less than an hour to do Roop Dhyan with the help of bhajans and kirtans. And the reason that 1 hour is recommended is because in those 60 minutes, the mind may think about God for maybe 2-3 minutes, and the rest of the time it will think about worldly issues. And so if we are just dedicating 5 or 10 minutes, that's too short a time, and the mind does not have any time to think about God. It needs time to get away from the world. So an hour, if someone can manage 2 hours, that's great. There's no limit on the maximum, but there's a limit on the minimum 1 hour. And then throughout the day, of course, we're going to do Rup Dhyan, but while working. And along with that, it's so helpful to read Sri Maharajji's books, his literature, to watch his videos. And I'm going to recommend, in case some of you are not aware of the app, Kripalu Nidhi. There is a subscription for it. That's one part, but you can get one without the subscription. You just go to the app center and you would just type Kripalu Nidhi, Kripalu. And maybe, Vikas, you can write that down in case somebody needs to have the spelling. Kripalu Nidhi. And there's a lot over there. You can listen to lectures, you can listen to the kirtans, you can gain a lot of benefit. And when you subscribe, there's so much more material. It's thousands and thousands. It's a very exciting app, very beautiful. You can use that in your daily devotions. And I definitely recommend getting Maharajji's literature to read, because there's something about the printed form that I hope all of you like. I just, even though there's other media, but the reading, the printed word is so special. And so reading Maharajji's literature, any which way you do it, even on the computer, fine. But it's so very important. It gives you so much, there's so much knowledge. Maharajji's books, so many of them. So just keeping the mind with Radha and Krishna, there's no limit on the maximum, but there is limit on the minimum.
Radha Radha Devi,
Radhe.
Pandit here. I have one question. Sometimes every day we are not able to do formal puja in the morning due to some reason, due to I have to go to office early, something like that, or maybe due to some reason. But in night when I lie down, I do take names and for 15 to 20 minutes, or when I wake up in the morning, I just do that without taking bath or something, even doing anything. I just wake up and lying down and take name. So is that okay?
Or you get up in the morning and you take the name of God.
Yeah, I'm just lying down, and as soon as I wake up, I take name of the God, and I try to do some dhyan while lying down and night. So 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes or 10 minutes, just and that too in night. So is that okay? I mean, when we do in this way, rather than
It's a good thing, but I think it's not enough. It's not enough. You have to do more. And because when you're laying down, you're very comfortable, and you have to do more devotion. You have to be sitting down and paying more attention. No, that's good that you do that. But besides that, you have to do it more actively while sitting. And the scriptures recommend the sitting posture with a straight back so that your attention is there, so you don't fall asleep. And you should do it for a longer period of time. So it's
but
not,
if you're not pure, I mean, haven't taken a bath or something, as soon as I wake up,
I
I
see,
take
right?
name. So is that okay?
That's very, very, very okay, because in Raganuga Bhakti, which is guided by spontaneous love for God, there is no strict rule about taking a bath, and then only after a shower or a bath, only then can you practice devotion. There's no such rule. Of course, you want to be awake, so we hear, take a bath before you not because God cares for that. It's just because you will yourself wake up when you take a bath. And when that's not possible, just brushing your teeth and washing your face is enough. But yes, I mean, getting out of bed, you're taking the name of God. There can be nothing wrong with that. But there has to be something more than that after that too.
Right. Thank
It's
you.
a good habit though.
Yeah, thank
You know, start the day with the name of God. Yes.
Right, right.
Radhe, Radhe. Well, I will then. Somebody's asking from Radha Madhav Society to find
So
this
there was question like if Valmiki have English lectures.
English lectures. Yes. And may I recommend also you go to my YouTube channel, Yugal Kunj. You can go to Yugal Kunj and find it on YouTube. And there's a lot of lectures there as well that I've given in English. Lots of resources are there. Happy to share them with you. And so I shall take your leave. It's been a pleasure as always. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai Jai Shri
Radhe.
Jai
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 Shri
Shri
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai
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 Shri
Shri Radhe.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Thank you very
Radhe
much.
Radhe.
Most welcome.
Radhe Radhe Jire.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.